make a start. My name is Paul Newman. So we'll start, as always, in Shavasana corpse pose. So this pose, we have the heels out to the corners, front corners of the mat, and lengthen the spine as far as we can along the mat. And then take the hands and the arms just wide enough from the body so the palms can turn up comfortably. Allow the palms to relax, the fingers to relax, and then let go of all the tension in the thighs and the legs, and the feet can just fall out to the sides. Just a moment of doing absolutely nothing, allowing the shoulder blades to sink into the mat, soften into the mat. Now the hips and the spine to soften into the mat. Feel the backs of the calves, the heels, the back of the head, the back of the shoulders, and the back of the hips all supported on the mat. Start taking long, slow, deep breaths in through the nostrils and out through the nostrils. So keep that going, keep lying in Shavasana corpse pose, and keep breathing in deeply through the nostrils and out through the nostrils. And then as you breathe in, see if you can notice everything that's within your awareness. So body sensations, sounds, thoughts, colours on the backs of the eyelids. Just allow the bodily sensations to become more into awareness. So we're not trying to exclude and push away everything else. Allow those things to be there, but just allow your bodily sensations to come more to the foreground of your awareness as you breathe in and as you breathe out. So now as you breathe in, I'd like you to imagine that you're bringing the breath all the way down into the core of your body, and as you breathe out, you're softening and relaxing the core. Breathing into the core and exhaling deeply from the core. So now allow the core sensation of your body to come more into awareness, to come more into prominence amongst all the other things that are still in your awareness. Imagine as you bring the breath in, you're stroking the core of the body with the breath, and exhale, softening, relaxing outwardly from the core of the body. Inhaling and exhaling, long, slow, deep, relaxing, calming breaths, letting go of the day, just giving yourself a little bit of me time. Inhaling, long, slow, silky breaths flowing into the core, and then exhaling, slipping away from the core. With the core of your body, the bodily sensations generated by the core of your body more in prominence in your awareness. Allow the other things to be there still in the background, but just have the core sensations in prominence in the foreground. Take 5 more long, slow, deep breaths, breathing in through the nostrils, inhaling and exhaling for 5. Inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. Inhaling for 2 and exhaling for 2. Inhaling for 1, exhaling for 1, inhaling for nothing, and exhaling for nothing. Take one more long deep breath, and then on the exhale, bring the knees into the chest, hug around the shins, and draw small circles on the mat with your lower back. A few in each direction, clockwise and anti-clockwise. And then place the feet to the floor, hip width, knees bent, knees pointing up, arms in beside you, palms facing down. We're coming into a rolling bridge, so on the inhale we're going to lift the back away from the mat, starting with the tailbone, then the lower back, then the middle back, then the upper back, peeling the back away from the mat one vertebra at a time until you have a straight line from the knees through the hips down to the shoulder. On the exhale we're rolling back down the way we came up, starting with the upper back, then the middle back, then the lower back, pelvis, and then sacrum comes down last on the full length of the exhale. Inhaling to come up, and exhaling to roll back down. And rippling the spine on and off the mat in rolling bridge in time with your own breath. Inhaling to come up, and exhaling to lower back down. If you want to, on the inhales you can bring the arms up overhead, and on the exhale rolling back down, leaving the arms where they are, and then bringing the arms down last. A few more in time with your own breath, coming up on the inhale, coming back down on the exhale, and then on the next one down, hold down. Take the arms out to shoulder height, or if you don't have space you can take the hands to the shoulders, elbows to shoulder height. On the exhale we're going to take the knees to the right, feet stacked, left foot on top of right foot. If it's comfortable on the neck, you can turn the head to look left and press down more with the right knee into the left knee. So pressing with the backs of both arms into the floor. Slightly dynamic stretch here. And then inhale to come upright. On the exhale we're going left, pressing with the left knee more into the right knee, and if you want you can turn the head to look over to the right, your choice, or just keep looking straight up at the ceiling if it's not comfortable on your neck. On the inhale, legs come up, exhale, legs go across to the right, inhaling, legs coming up, exhaling, legs going across to the left. Long, slow, deep breaths, and keep that movement now going in time with your own breath. A little bit quicker if you want to, if your breath's running quicker, or slower if you can make the breath stay nice and slow. Equal numbers to the left, to the right, and then to the left. And then on the next one up, hold up after you've done your last one to the left. Take the feet to about hip width, and then we're going to take the left ankle on top of the right front thigh, exhaling. The legs are going to go right, sole of the left foot comes to the floor, right hand comes to the left knee, and allows it to sink a little bit further over towards the right side of the mat. Getting a bit of a nice stretch on the back of the left hip. If you want to, you can extend the left arm and press down with the full length of the arm, turning the head to look left along the length of the arm. Or keep the hand to the shoulder, your choice. So now we're going to release that hand from the knee. And then keeping the legs in the same position, we're going to bring the legs upright and then all the way across. So now the left ankle is pressing the right knee over towards the left side of the mat. And if you want to, you can turn the head to look left, to look right rather, your choice. Or look straight up at the ceiling, that's also your choice. So make a few little wiggles in the hip as well to ease out the tension in the side of the hips. Before inhaling, coming upright and placing the left foot on the floor and changing sides. So we're going to take the right ankle to the front of the left thigh. On the exhale, the legs going left, sole of the right foot comes to the floor, left hand to the right knee, allow the weight of the hand and the arm to draw the leg a little bit further, knee a little bit further over towards the left side of the mat, and then turn the head to look right, or just keep looking straight up at the ceiling, your choice. If it's not comfortable on the neck, don't turn the neck. And then a little wiggle on the hips, just to get into those deep stuck places, maybe where you're a little bit tight. So we're going to keep the legs in the same position with the right ankle still on the front left thigh, inhaling to come up, exhaling, legs are going all the way to the right, and you can turn the head to look over to the left, or look straight up, and little gentle movements in the hips to ease out, maybe more on the front of the hip this time. And then both feet to the floor, knees come up. So we'll hug the knees into the chest one more time, and this time we'll take the head and shoulders off the mat so that the floor is coming towards the knees, pointing out the toes, and bring the elbows down towards the ankles so that the shoulders are coming away from the ears. And then take another full body stretch. So just the right knee this time, hugging into the chest, and then we're going to peel the head and shoulders off the mat, bring the right ear to the inside of the right knee. Again, elbows down towards the ankles so that the shoulders are down away from the ears. And then inhale, full body stretch. Exhale, left knee comes in, hug the shin down parallel to the floor, point out the toe, and then peel the back away from the mat. One vertebra at a time, upper back towards the lower back, left ear to the inside of the left knee, and then inhale, taking a full body stretch. Arms up overhead, pointing out through the fingertips, maybe a little wiggle on the hips here as well. I'll tell you what, let's do some banana bends. So we're going to come onto the mat, with the arms up overhead. We're going to take the right wrist in the left hand, take the heels over to the left side of the mat, and draw the right wrist over towards the left side. So we're stretching through the right side of the body. So you're breathing into the right side of the ribs, and maybe rocking the ribs slightly over towards the right. Sorry, rocking the hips slightly over towards the right. And then we're going to change sides, walking the heels to the right front corner of the mat, and take the left wrist in the right hand, and breathing into the left side of the ribs, and maybe rocking the hips slightly over towards the left. So you can make a kind of a dynamic push here, but assist that with a slight little pull on the wrist. And then coming back to centre, and again we're going to take both knees to the chest, give them a hug around the shins, and maybe a few circles in each direction now, in opposite directions. And rock up to seated, so a comfortable cross-leg position. If you have a block or a stack of blocks, you may want to elevate your hips on the block. We'll do a couple of little hip circles, just to loosen up a little bit more around the upper hips, upper legs and in the hips, and the opposite direction. Inhale to sit up tall. We're just going to hinge at the hips with a flat back at this point into a forward fold. So you can have the hands on the floor, and inhale, pull the mat towards you, exhale, hinging at the hips. No rounding forward at this point. Pulling the mat forward towards you, getting a nice straight flat back. Exhale, folding forward. So inhaling and exhaling, inhaling and exhaling. Keep that going. And then inhale, sit up, change the cross of the legs, and we'll do that again on the opposite side. So inhaling and exhaling. Hands to the floor when you want to support yourself. You might be able to get the elbows to the fronts of the knees and assist with that. Inhale, pulling forward, exhaling, softening. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, chest forward, out and up, gaze forward, out and up, exhaling, softening. And then on this one we'll round down, taking the forward towards the back of the hands. I'm trying to let go of the tension in the legs. Maybe again rocking the hips from side to side a little bit. And then inhale, sitting up nice and tall. Take the hands behind you, 6 to 8 inches. Push the chest up through the shoulders. Change the cross of the legs, do that again. And then come up to a seated position. So we're going to come into our Vinyasa now. We're going to do Surya, Namaskar, Sun Salutations, the standard version. Yesterday we did the easier for complete beginners or people that are starting to lose range of motion. Today we'll do the standard version, so there'll be a slight progression from what we did yesterday, and we might put in equestrian pose on the way back into half standing forward bend. So let's come up to standing, whichever way is comfortable for you. Or you can do it the fun way, rocking up to standing if you want to, without using your hands. So here we are taking Tadasana, mountain pose. You can have the feet hip width if you want to. If you have the flexibility, big toes touching, heels apart, outside edges of the feet parallel. That's your choice depending on how comfortable you feel today. So from the starting position, we take the rotational grip into the mat with the feet using Tadasana and the outside edges of the heels, so we've got that nice firm base underneath the feet. Front thighs slightly engaged, kneecaps slightly lifted, belly slightly engaged so that the hips are stacked above the knees and above the ankles, spine upright, shoulders relaxed, face relaxed, slight outward turn on the upper arms so that the shoulder blades are pressing into the back ribs, pushing the back ribs forward and widening out the shoulders. Head is upright. We're going to bring the hands together in front of the belly, inhale, scooping them up towards the sky, leading with the little finger edge of the bend. You might be able to get the thumbnails above, but you don't have to go that far if you don't want to. Straighten up. It's also hands past the face in prayer to the heart center as you exhale. We're coming to a straight leg, right angle forward fold, so we're taking the hips back at the same rate as we fold forward so we can keep the weight even between the toes and the heels in this forward fold. Once the hamstrings won't let you fold any further forward, you can bend into the knees, bring the belly onto the front thighs, and then squat, bending the knees some more, bring the hands to marker position next to the feet. So we have the palms flat, fingers spread, gripping the mat with the base of the index finger, outside edge of the palm, as if we're trying to get a clockwise rotation on the right hand and anti-clockwise rotation on the left hand. And then we're going to step back with the right leg, long lunge to the back right corner of the mat, pull the mat towards your equestrian pose, inhale, and then retain the breath. We're coming into a straight line plank. This is Kumbhakasana, breath retention posture. You hold the breath in this posture. On the exhale, we're going to roll forward on the toes, bring the knees down, push back into the palms, bring the elbows back towards the side ribs, rest the side ribs on the backs of the arms, and then chest and chin come down together. Inhale, pull the mat towards you, baby cobra, Bhujangasana, just using the back muscles to lift the chest up, no weight in the hands at this point. On the exhale, pushing down to the knees, tuck the toes, and then making a half push up, and then pushing all the way back into your downward facing dog. So as this is our first downward facing dog, you can spend some time in this position exploring how this feels for you today. So pedaling out the heels, moving the hips from side to side, and then when you're ready, on the inhale we're going to take your right leg up behind in a three-legged dog. So start by pointing the right toes as far as they'll go along the mat with the knees, with the legs straight, and then keeping, without the hip lifting, we're going to pick up that leg, hinging at the hip, pushing back into the right wrist to get the tip of the toe as far as we can from the wrist, and then when it's gone as far as it can without dropping the knee, bending the knee, coming up onto the toes of the left foot, rippling the spine up towards the ceiling as the knee travels forward to the chin. Tailbone, lower back, middle back, upper back, coming up towards the sky. Foot comes as far forward as you can. If it doesn't go all the way, you can take the hand behind the ankle, give it a helping hand forward, and come back to equestrian pose. So we're in equestrian pose, we're chest up, gaze up, pulling the mat towards us, and then we're going to just slide that left foot out to the left of the mat and ground the heel. And we're coming all the way up, leading with the left hand, and then all the way up and over, windmilling the arms. And as we come up, we're taking the hips out to the side so that we're facing the side long edge of the mat, and turn just the head to look back to the front of the mat. This is Warrior 2, which we practiced yesterday, and then we're going to rotate the front palm, lean back, keeping the arms kind of like level with each other, then coming into the Sun Warrior. And then we're going to straighten up the torso, bring the right arm over, left arm over, windmill the arms all the way back over into equestrian pose, come off the back of the left heel, and then as we bring the chest up, gaze up, we're going to push into the right ankle, right heel rather, and bring the feet together. Inhale in a half standing forward bend. If you can't reach the floor with flat back, straight legs, bring the hands to the outsides of the legs. And then on the exhale, bending the knees a lot, head comes to the knees, push down to the palms to raise the hips, and then inhaling, You can come up, either hands to the front thighs to support you, or take the arms ahead of you in a chair. And come all the way back up to standing back bend. And then straighten up the torso on the exhale, hands come past the facing prayer to the heart centre. Release the hands back into Tadasana mountain pose, getting that nice solid grip on the mat and running through all the posture points that we talked about earlier. So it's grip on the mat with the feet, front thigh slightly engaged, kneecap slightly lifted, belly slightly engaged, and then the shoulder blades pressing into the back ribs, slight outward rotation of the upper arms, head upright. Let's do that again. So we're going to do that on the left side now, inhaling and exhaling, half standing forward bend, flat back, straight legs. Once you can't fall any further forward, bend the knees, bring the hands to the palms to the mat, look towards the knees, and then inhale, slide the left foot back. So the right knee should end up pretty much above the right ankle. We're pulling the mat back towards us now, first equestrian pose on this side, and then we're taking the weight into the palms and the back toes. So we can make a little bit of space to release that right foot. Comes all the way back, we're in a straight line plank, holding the breath in Kumbhakasana. And then as we need to breathe out, we're going to roll forward on the toes, bring the knees down, and then exhale, chest and chin come down together, taking the elbows back towards the hips, and the sides of the ribs here are resting on the backs of the arms. And then we can slide the arms apart so that the whole torso comes down, slide the feet away, pull the mat towards us, and use the back muscles to lift the head and chest off the mat. On the exhale, bring the face back towards the mat, push down into the knees, tuck the toes, and do that little half push up, and then still exhaling, pushing all the way back into our downward facing dog. Spend a little bit more time in down dog, just see if we need to ease out anywhere. Pedaling the heels and swaying the hips side to side, and then inhaling, pointing out the left toe, left leg comes up high, three-legged dog, and then onto the toes of the right foot. Bend the knee, keeping the knee high, and then ripple the spine up towards the ceiling, lower back, middle back, upper back, knee comes towards the chin, flex the foot, pushing up into the back heart space, and step the foot as far forward as you can without the palms lifting. Helping hand if you need to, back to equestrian pose. Sinking into that hip so that we get a straight line from the shoulder, down the length of the spine, through the hip, down the leg to the ankle. And then inhale, even maybe a slight back bend as you draw the mat back towards you. And then take that weight into the palms again so you can slide that right foot out 1 foot width, ground the heel, and this time leading with the right arm, they're coming all the way up and over, and turning the hips out to the side as the left arm starts coming up, and then turn just the head to look back centre circle, rotate the palm upwards, lean back, taking the right hand to the back of the knee, left hand above the face. So you should get a bit of a stretch on the inside of the back thigh here, and then we're going to windmill the arms over, squaring the hips back towards the short edge of the mat, coming off the right heel as we come back into equestrian pose, and then push off those right toes, coming into your half standing forward bend. So again, if you can't reach the floor, up the outsides of the legs is fine. On the exhale, bend the knees a lot, head to the knees, push down to the floor, raise the hips. Inhale, chairing up to standing, or support yourself on the front thighs, relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears, looking up towards the thumbnails, and then straighten up the torso. Grip the mat, start bringing the physical aspects of Tadasana even as you're softening from the top down. Okay, let's run through that again, maybe a little bit quicker and without stopping in downward facing dog. So inhaling, exhaling, forward fold, flat back, straight legs. Hands to the floor, look to the knees. Just inhale, step back, right leg, long lunge. And then hold the breath in a plank position. Exhale, lower down, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, baby cobra. Bhujangasana, the cobra. Exhaling, pushing back to Svanasana, downward facing dog. And then inhale, taking the right leg high, three-legged dog, Pada Savasana, bend the knee, come up with the toes of the left foot, start ripping the spine, knee travels forward as far as you can without the palms lifting. Help your hand if you need to, push out through the back of the left knee and sink the left hip a little bit. Pull the mat towards you with the hands chest up, gaze up. So now we're going to ground the left heel as we bring the arms all the way up into your warrior two, turning just the head, and then inhale, some warrior. So we're now going to turn the head, just the head, look down towards the left ankle, turn the left palm up towards the ceiling and push towards the top back corner of the room, increasing the stretch. And then inhale, windmilling the arms over, coming off the heel, squaring the hips back to the short edge of the mat and pushing down into the mat as you bring the knees together. The feet back to marker position. On the exhale, hands to marker position, push down to the palms, inhaling all the way up to standing and back to Tadasana. Straight through inhale and exhale, forward fold, flat back and straight legs, taking the hips back as you fold forward so the weight stays even between the balls of the feet and the heels. Looking back towards the knees. Inhale, step back left, leg long lunge. Inhale. And then exhale, flattening out the back. Straight line plank. Lower down, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, pushing to the knees, elevate the hips, tap the toes, half push up, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg high, three-legged dog. And then stepping forward between the hands, fingers and toes in line, and helping hand if you need to. Grounding the right heel. And leading with the right hand. Warrior two, and then some warrior. Reverse sun warrior or shadow warrior, and pushing up towards the ceiling in a dynamic shadow warrior. And then windmill the arms over, square the hips forward, come off the back heel, pull the mat towards you, push down to the palms. Inhale, half standing forward bend. Exhale, standing forward bend. And then inhale, lowering the hips, taking the arms forward. Support yourself on the front thighs if you want to. Shoulders down away from the ears, looking up towards the thumbs. Straighten up the torso, hands come past the face in prayer, heart center, and release into Tadasana, mountain pose. Stand there and hold the posture just for a moment. Maybe allow the eyes to close a little bit, feel the balance through the feet. And then coming back into the room, maybe move the shoulders around a little bit. How are we doing? We're doing fine. Good. So we're going to go now into the Asana. This is where we'll hold the postures for a minute or so. So the first posture I'd like to look at is Warrior 1. We just did Warrior 2. We did Warrior 2 yesterday as an Asana. We've done it as part of the sequence today. Now we'll look at Warrior 1. So Warrior 2, let me just remind you, is a posture where the hips are facing the short edge of the mat. With Warrior 1, the hips are still facing the long edge of the mat, facing the short edge of the mat in Warrior 1. So when we take the foot back into the lunge, we don't bring it behind the front foot, we're bringing it out to the side a little bit, so that the heels are still the same distance from the edge of the mat. So let's say that's 6 inches my left heel from the mat and 5 or 6 inches my right heel from the edge of the mat. When I step the heel back, it's still 5 or 6 inches from the edge of the mat. So the heels move back parallel, and that allows me to still have the hips facing forward parallel with the short edge of the mat. Okay, so we're going to take the slightly wider hip stance and then transfer the weight into the left foot pick up the right foot, slide it back, and then bring the torso and the hips parallel to the short edge of the mat. We're going to bring the hands together in prayer, scooping down towards the mat and then keeping that movement going, scooping with the little finger edge of the palm. We're pushing into the back of the right knee a little bit so it's straight without over flexing it. And we're in the warrior one pose. So we can bring a little bit of a back bend and allow the stretch also to happen through the front of the right hip. Fingertips pointing backwards towards the back wall, looking up towards the fingertips. And then hands past the face in prayer to the heart center, you stand up. And then this time as we scoop, we're going to step up. Okay, so this change from Tadasana to Warrior One is also like a raising the sword, ready for a sword cut. So it's kind of like you're going, or raising a sword ready to strike. So that's the kind. So you're kind of lifting something fairly heavy, a couple of pounds, when you do this action. Okay, so we'll do that again on the left side. So taking the hip width stance and hands together in prayer. So this time we're going to try and start that motion as we step back. So it's like we're doing the trying to lift the sword as we getting ready for that strike. So inhaling, just make sure you're pushing out a little bit through the back of the left knee so that leg is straight, and you're using that left side edge of the foot as a kind of a backstop to stop you from tipping right over backwards, and the fact the leg is straight. Shoulders relaxed down away from the ears, looking up towards the thumbnails, and then stepping up back to Tadasana, Anjali Mudra, and then release into Tadasana mountain pose. Well done. So we're now going to do a side stretch, and we're going to look at the Trikonasana. So Trikonasana is a posture where we have the feet in one plane and the hips out to the side, facing the long edge of the mat. So you can start with the feet quite close together, and then we're going to step back, take the weight into the right foot and step back with the left foot. So if you have one of these mats with a line along the centre, your big toe knuckle and the inside of the heel should be on the same line. There's a line drawn between the middle toe and the back of the heel and the front foot. And then that allows the hips to come out to the side and straighten the torso. We start almost in a warrior two posture. Instead of turning the head to look forward, we're going to turn the head to look backwards and then turn the palms out so that they're facing forward. We're going to now lean the body forward so that the line of the torso is on the same line as the back leg, and then bending the front elbow and leaning your weight into the front thigh. So you're on the forearm, supporting the torso weight, and as you lean further forward, the hand will come up. Okay, so once you've lent as much of your torso weight as you can through the forearm into the front thigh, then you can start pushing more into the front thigh to work on straightening that knee. As the knee straightens, the palms coming up even higher, the left hand's coming up higher, middle fingertips pointing towards the ceiling. Okay, so just come out of the posture, so bend into the front knee, take your weight onto the forearm, and I just want to explain something, so come upright. So when you're in this posture and the leg is straight, to allow yourself to keep supporting some weight, you need to be pushing quite hard this direction against the inner thigh with the back of that forearm. So we're in this posture and I'm pushing in the direction my fingers are pointing, my right fingers, and then I can allow that friction is kind of holding some of my weight, and I can allow that to slip so that I can then just gradually sink down, keeping the body in that same alignment until my fingertips maybe touch the floor. And then to come out of the posture, bring the forearm back onto the front thigh, bend into the knee and come upright. So we're going to support the weight on that front thigh through the forearm as we come up. And then we'll change sides. So we're going to turn the right foot forward and the left foot forward. Maybe shuffle a little bit around so that the toes are the same distance from the edge of the mat. And then turn the left foot out to the left and slip the right heel. So rotating on the ball of the foot, slipping the heel and bringing still keeping the hips parallel to the long edge of the mat. Taking the arms apart at shoulder height as we do for Warrior 2, but now looking back towards the right fingertips. Turning the palms out to the side and extending the torso forward. So we're reaching forward with the left hand until we have the torso in line with the back leg. And then we can bend into the left arm, rest on the left front thigh and start leaning further even forward so the right arm comes up. Keeping that shoulder relaxed, pulling it into the shoulder joint and then start pushing into the knee, into the front thigh so the knee starts to straighten and the arm comes up higher. So once the fingertips are pointing towards the ridgepole or the ceiling, then you can start reaching back with that left forearm against the left inner thigh and start slipping down, fingertips towards the floor, looking up towards the fingertips on the right hand, and then bending into the left knee, left forearm onto the left thigh to support your weight as you come up. Turn the toes forward and then heel and toe the feet together or jump the feet together, whatever you prefer to do. So that was Trikonasana, the intense triangle. Let's move on. So for a hip opener, we're going to do a bit of an old favourite, which is the Hindii squat. So we'll start in the Tadasana with the heels on the mat and maybe the toes to the edge of the mat. Standing up nice and straight, take the hands in prayer, Anjali Mudra, and then you can play with the position of the feet as you come down, but we're working on bringing the tailbone straight down towards the floor into a squat. So then we can rest the elbows on the inner thighs, maybe take the elbows right onto the inner thighs and work in this position. So if you can bring the elbows to the inner thighs and push the inner thighs open, you can also bring the chest forward and the gaze up. So then you've kind of got something to press against to bring the chest forward and the gaze up. So on the exhale we can sink a little bit further. On the inhale, maybe turn the heel of the palms towards the belly button, take a nice deep breath and then exhale. Keep working in that position, loosening out some of the tension around back of the hips, tops of the thighs, the inner thighs. Inhaling and exhaling, inhaling and exhaling. So then when you're ready, you can take the hands to the mat. Okay, I don't really have the width to do that here, so I'm going to turn around. So we're in the Hindii squat. Take the hands to the mat, middle fingers pointing in at 45 degrees, back to the arms, supporting the knees. And we can come up onto the toes and see if we can get to a balance point where we can pick one foot up off the floor and then the other foot up off the floor. Okay, so if you know where you're going, if you've done this before, if you can do the crow without falling on your face, then have a go now. But please make sure you don't do this for the first time without a teacher around. Wait until after the lockdown and I'll show you how to do it properly in the gym if you have not done it before. But if you know how to do this, you can come into the full crow, come into the balance, bring the feet off the mat, and if you can, touch the toes together. And keep the chest out, gaze up, so far as possible. Okay, so the other thing we can do is also, once we're coming out of this position, spring back a little bit, kind of into a downward facing dog, if you can manage that. So that's quite a fun way to come out of the crow and the Hindi squat. Or if you don't want to do that, you can come out of the Hindi squat by heel the toe of the feet together, back into Uttanasana, and then Tadasana with Anjali Mudra, and then release the hands back into Tadasana pose, mountain pose. So this is a posture I haven't done for a little while, the side plank. So we can do this a couple of ways. So we can start with a half side plank. So we'll have the right hand, right middle finger pointing forward, and then on that line we're going to have the knee and the middle toe of the right foot, centre of the left instep. So we have everything in one straight line, and then we're going to turn the body to the side. So just make sure that right hand's underneath, the right wrist is actually underneath the shoulder as you turn out to the right. So this is a half side plank. We're trying to lift the right ribs up and push the left ribs up towards the ceiling. And then if we can, turn, raise the left hand, look up towards the fingertips. And then bring the hand down and around. And you can bring the knees together and then change sides. I'm going to turn around so I'm not facing away from you. So, leg out to the side, supported left hand, left knee, left middle toe, right elbow high, right hand high, and then lifting through the ribs towards the ceiling. And then the right arm comes back and down, and back to the mat, and bring the right knee back. Okay, so if you want to, we can do the same thing again, the half side plank if you want to. If you'd like to try, we can come into the full side plank. So we'll start again on the right side, and come first of all into that half side plank. And then what we'll do is we'll step the right foot out and stack the left foot on top of the right foot. So now we're in the full side plank, still lifting the ribs up towards the ceiling. And then the left arm can come back and down, change into a full plank, bring the knees down, or just flip over and do the other side. Again, right elbow high, and then stepping out with the left foot, and then stacking the right foot on top of the left foot, and we're in the full side plank, still pushing the ribs up towards the ceiling. And then the arm comes back and down, underneath, full plank, and then knees down, and then sit back on your heels. Okay, so there is another slight intensification of that pose, which I'll show you briefly. You can try it if you want to. So once you're in the full side plank, what you can also do, if you want to, is start raising the top leg, pointing out the toes, and coming into a kind of a star shape. Okay? And then back to the mat, as before. If you did it on the left side, do it on the right side as well. And it's quite good fun and quite a good stretch. Okay, so we're going to come now into the camel pose. So start fairly far forward on the front of your mat, and the hips are stacked above the knees, toes are tucked, and the spine is upright. So keeping the hips, so we're trying to use just the back muscles to come into a back bend. You can support yourself on the hips. What we don't want is the hips to come back. So the hips are staying above the knees. So you push into the backs of the top hips with your hands as you lean back. We're trying to get the face sort of like looking straight up towards the ceiling, and then if you can reach the heels with the fingertips, still keeping the hips forward. So you're kind of like almost pulling the heels towards you as you take the hips forward. And then support yourself on the hips and come back up. Okay, so we're going to go from the camel into reclined hero. So from this posture, coming back into the camel, and then this, as you start gripping the heels with the palms of the hands, then the hips will go back slightly, but keep that same back bend, and then you can maybe release the toes. So then if you can release the toes, you can maybe hold the heels, hands back, sink the hips down between the feet, bring the elbows down, and please avoid throwing the head all the way back, keep space at the back of the neck. Maybe walk the elbows forward and bring the shoulders down. Arms can maybe come up overhead, so you're in a bit of a more relaxed posture. And you can try pushing one hip and then the other hip up towards the ceiling to get more of a stretch on the front thigh. So that was reclined hero. As a counter posture to reclined hero, we'll just come into a simple child's pose. So taking the forehead towards the mat, and this time instead of an extended child's pose, we'll take the arms back so the hands go past the feet. Just resting here in this position for a moment or two. Just maybe rock from side to side on the shins in order to ease out the lower back there. And then when you're ready, sit up on your heels and then sit back on your block. And we'll do some gentle warm down exercises before the final relaxation. So bring yourself into Sukhasana easy pose, sitting upright with the hands to the knees, and maybe doing some figures of 8 with the shoulders. So leading with the left shoulder, then the right shoulder. As you rock from side to side, again we're working into the hip joints here, but only very gently as a warm down after the practice. And then when you've done a few, change the cross of the legs and repeat. Okay, so now we're going to make this a little bit more dynamic. So we're going to look over the right knee, lean forward with a flat back as far as we can on the exhale, and then rotate round to the left knee, and then on the inhale, coming up, turn, and then change direction. Exhaling over the left, over the right. You use the hands on the knees to support you and help you come up and go maybe deeper into the forward rotation. And do it all again. So exhaling to the left first this time, around to the right, inhaling, sit up tall, exhaling. And then exhaling to the right. Inhaling from the left. Exhaling to the right. And inhaling from the left. I'm going to do a slightly longer final relaxation this time. So if you'd like to get warm, maybe get a blanket or a jumper, maybe put your socks back on. We'll come into that final relaxation, Shavasana. Heels to the front corners of the mat, and then contacting the mat one vertebra at a time. Lower back, middle back, upper back, shoulder blades widening. Tuck the chin slightly so the back of the neck is long and the arms come just far enough from the body that the palms can turn up comfortably, and then the last thing, let go of all the tension in the lower body. And long, slow, deep breaths. absorbing the benefits of your practice, letting go of any tension in the face, any tension in the hips, any tension in the hands. Just let it go, let it drain away into the floor. So I'd like you to start paying attention to the points of the floor where your body's in contact with the floor, the back of the head, the shoulders, buttocks, the backs of the calves, the heels, the backs of the forearms, the backs of the hands. So just allow everything else still to be in awareness, but just bring those things a little bit more to the foreground of your awareness. Start allowing those things to be a little bit more prominent in awareness and to come forward in awareness. So feeling the heaviness of your body against the mat at each point where you're in contact with the mat. Feel gravity pulling you down into the mat. Feel the gentle counter pull as you pull the earth towards you. Long, slow, deep breaths, breathing in through the nostrils, relaxing around through the shoulders, through the face, through the scalp, behind the ears. Just allowing the shoulders to soften and widen, just under gravity, just letting go of any tension in the body. Just being aware of every place where you're in contact with the mat, allowing that to be more prominent in awareness. Allowing everything else to be there, but just bring the sensation of contact with the mat into prominence, into the foreground of your awareness. So now you're scanning your attention through the body, from the feet, through the ankles and the legs, through the knees, through the thighs, through the hamstrings, through the hips, through the spine and the belly, up through the diaphragm into the ribs, through the heart and lungs, through the back of the ribs up into the shoulders, through the palms, up the forearms, through the elbows, through the upper arms, into the shoulders. Flowing your attention through the neck, through the jaw, through the base of the skull, through the face, through the sides of the head, through the ears, through the temples, up to the top of the scalp. And then just softening outwardly through the top of the head. So now as you scan your attention once more through the body, just notice any little areas of tension, any areas of heaviness. Just feel that any heaviness that you find is sinking down towards the floor, to where you're in contact with the mat. Sinking, sinking, sinking. Just gently collecting where you're in contact with the mat. And just feel any heavy energy draining away out of your body and into the floor. And breathing in, there's lighter, fresher, quicker energy, replacing that heavy energy that's just been displaced. And you feel alive, you feel well, you feel active, you feel fired up, you feel enthusiastic. Just lie here now, enjoying that sensation of the aliveness of your body. Experiencing the feeling of being alive, the feeling of the life force flowing through your body. And then inhale, we're going to take a full body stretch, pointing out through the toes, pointing out through the fingertips, stretching, stretching, stretching. And then on the exhale, release the stretch, leave the arms where they are. Inhale again, stretch right side, right arm, right leg, keeping the left side passive. And then exhale, coming back to a rest position. Stretch the left arm and left leg, keeping the right side passive, pointing out through the fingertips, pointing out through the toes, stretching, 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 and then relax, release the stretch. One more stretch both sides, both arms, both legs, stretching, stretching, stretching. On the exhale, bring the knees into the chest, hug around the shins, and draw small circles on the mat with your lower back, a few in each direction. And then when you're ready, taking the feet to the floor and then rolling over onto your side, in a fetal position, eyes closed or soft, hand to the floor in front of your face, and then push yourself up to a comfortable seated cross-leg position. You can elevate the hips on a block if you wish to. And then we'll come into the closing ritual. So the purpose of ritual is to embed the learning that you've undertaken. So that's why we always end with a little ritual. And you can do this in everyday life because there's many things which are routine, and you can take those routines and make them into ritual. In the same way that you can take anything which is mundane and make it into a meditation. So just being aware of your body tension, your body sensations, that's always there. So it's mundane, and it's mundane so you don't notice it until you deliberately, on purpose, notice it, and then it becomes a meditation. So we're going to sit up nice and tall, shoulders relaxed, spine straight, head upright, face relaxed. And take it to hands in prayer at the floor level. Just a moment of quiet, like a flash of awareness on the most basic ground state of your consciousness. Consciousness that can't be described in words, it's just there all the time. And then on the inhale, we're going to bring a nice, long, slow, deep breath as we take the hands up past each of the chakras. Maybe remembering the qualities of those chakras as the palms pass all the way up, high overhead, and then loosening the fingertips apart, spreading the hands, spreading the arms high and wide, as if you're surrounding yourself with peace and positive energy that you've created. Ground your energy to the floor, and then inhale, scoop it all the way back up, overhead, drawing a protective rainbow around yourself, seeing that between your palms, and then drawing it down past your face, past the upper chakras, to the heart center. Relax the shoulders, spine upright, pushing down through the sit bones, and then bow the head to the fingertips. Namaskar. Acknowledge yourself for performing your practice. And you can release the hands to the knees, back to the hands to the knees, forefinger thumb connected in Garland mudra, meditation posture. And just sit here for as long as you'd like to. And I hope to see you again. Thanks for joining me. Any questions, feedback or comments in the comment section down below, please, and I'll endeavour to answer. Lovely to see you. Have a lovely evening.